Yes, people, welcome back to the SPTC podcast. As always, I'm your host, Jay McIntosh, joined, as it's a Friday, by both Luke Rushbrook and Danny Windsor. Luke, how are you doing?
Yep, very good, mate. Very good. Busy
Beautiful
week, but
stuff.
same as usual.
Busy week indeed. It's nice to see Danny, besides the solicitors being occasionally a bit of a longer job. How are you doing?
Yeah, not bad, mate. Not bad. Exactly the same as Luke. Busy, but we keep truggling along.
Keep going
Not
along,
sure
yeah.
that's a word, but
I think you're looking for trundling, but it's fine.
trundling. Yeah,
Yeah,
truggling,
yeah.
but
It's okay.
it's like a mixture of trundling and struggling. So we'll go for that.
It's all good. Yeah, you know me. I'm the vocab guy of this group chat, so
You're the
I'm
Grammarly of our group.
yeah, I'm the Grammarly of the group. That's a great nickname. Okay, yeah. I'll roll with that. Listen, let's start the show with plugging some things because I'm selfishly going to plug an article that I've finally written after about years of Simon asking me to write some stuff. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So go and read it if you haven't. It's fine. You'll be better off actually reading Luke's piece. Luke, do you want to give us a little bit of a breakdown for those that haven't read it so far, but will read it later, of what's going on in there?
Yeah, it was just an accumulation of, of all of the links from this week. Player profiles, which I usually do when we've got some strong links with a player. I normally do just sort of one article on that player, but being a little bit behind with a few of them, and the likes of Asugu, who was obviously announced back in March.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I just decided to put them all together as the week had got a bit busy before the Club World Cup. So yeah, check it out. It's already doing quite well, I think. But I think you
Doing
need
very well.
to take the humbleness off and really praise yourself for that article because it was very, very good.
Thank you, mate. I appreciate that. I appreciate that very much. If
Not bad for a journalist, are you, Jay?
Not bad, yeah. Given that's been my profession for the last 7 years, you'd think that at least I could write something. Spend more of my time in editorial, but it's okay. I can occasionally write a piece, or I can occasionally host a podcast without fumbling my words too badly. But let's talk today about transfers. Thankfully, there's no actual football going on. Well, to be fair, did you guys catch the France Spain game yesterday? Luke, you're nodding.
Mad,
It's crazy, isn't it?
mad.
Crazy, crazy, crazy. Danny obviously taking shots at me in the group chat about a certain winger for Spain. Danny, did you enjoy his
Yeah.
performance?
Yeah, I mean, I didn't watch a lot of the game. I was just saw a lot of the clips and stuff like that. But yeah, as I said to you the other day, Williams is a player that will get better in a better team, and
Yeah,
then he plays for Spain, which is much better, and he looks arguably one of the better players on the pitch when Yamal is on the other side. So
yeah.
he's ready to explode. And if he didn't have the stupid wages and the tax break that you get in Bilbao, I think he would have been signed probably last summer by a few people, if not definitely this summer.
Yeah, I think there's also a scenario in which he could have been in at Barcelona, and then things with Rafinha maybe wouldn't have worked in the way that they have done. He is a wonderful player. I think for me, my concern is his like regular goal output, and I think the expectation would be that he would be a massive volume goal scorer. I agree with you. In a better team, he certainly would be. If he went somewhere like City, when instead of them signing, who's the tricky winger at
Doku,
City?
Doku.
Doku, that's the one. Instead of them signing Doku, if they'd have got Williams, we'd be looking at someone I think of the level that Sane was at when he was playing at Manchester City. But I think that Spain France game was a real show of major talent, and I certainly now I think see Spain as probably favourites for the World Cup next year. Um,
Be up
we
there for sure.
certainly, yeah, certainly up there. Ryan Cherky as well doing his best to make sure that Premier League fans know his name before he arrives. His goal was unbelievable as well, absolutely unbelievable. So if you've not seen the highlights on that fixture, definitely go and check it out. But we're here to talk transfers predominantly today. So I think we should probably go from back to front because Delap has been confirmed. So we'll talk about him in a bit. I've sort of done a complete 180 on Delap. The more I read and watch, I can see Luke's smug face looking at me there. But before we get into that, we need to talk about the most important news, which is that Inzaghi has left Inter Milan. Absolute disgrace, by the way.
Well, the most important news is the fact Inter lost 5-0.
No. We don't talk about that. But it's an absolute disgrace. I understand if you want to make $26 million a year, then fine, go and do that. But hurts. That one hurts. But he's obviously just going to go and make some money and then come back. I assume we'll end up
Yeah,
another
I'd be
Italian.
so tempted in that scenario where you could literally go and do 2 years in
Yeah,
Saudi, and then moving forward, you could basically take any job you want and not worry about what wages. Like,
yeah,
say in 2 years' time, Chelsea need a new manager, and he would want, I don't know, 10 million a year to manage Chelsea, but they'll only offer 8. It's like, well, I'll still take the job because it's the job I want, because I've just earned 26 million for free, no tax for 2 years. So
yeah. Come out of it with 52 million tax
and he's
free.
quite young as well as a manager. So
Yeah, and also he was really struggling on his $7 million a year contract at Inter Milan. So it
must be
makes
tough.
sense. It makes sense, bless him, that he needs to go over there. It's not like he's got a history
Cost of living and stuff over there.
cost of living, and he's not exactly.
Pasta is expensive in Italy, to be fair.
It is expensive in Italy, to be fair. Also, I was going to say, it's not like he's from a really sort of prestigious footballing family that clearly aren't struggling for money, but it's fine. It's okay. He's gone. It looks like Kivu is going to come in, not Fabregas, not De Zerbi.
Surprised it's not De Zerbi. I feel like he would have wanted to go back to Italy, but maybe it was Inter's choice, not his.
Well, I think because Kivu's going to be offered a 2-year contract, it says to me that he's probably a bit of a stopgap. This team is certainly aging out and will need to be freshened up over the next few seasons, but Inter aren't really cash rich. So it'll be interesting to see what goes on there. But less of the Inter chat, less of the Spain-France chat, unless anyone has
2 years for Inzaghi to come back after he's earned like £50 million tax-free for 2 years.
Yeah, 100%. That's just the plan, obviously. Or he'll go to AC, then Juve, then Roma, do what the Italian managers do. It's just cycle through clubs. But it's fine. It's fine. I'm not that bitter about it. Thank you for the people DMing me finding it funny. I'm glad you guys find it funny because I don't.
We found it really funny, the Champions League, and then Inzaghi leaving in our group chat. Just for an insight for everybody.
No, we didn't. You did. I didn't find it particularly funny. To be honest with
you. I say we. Three of the four members found it hilarious.
Do you know what? The Champions League final is so difficult for me because I hated watching every second of it. But equally, the football from PSG is so good.
Unbelievable.
You can't not. And someone like Kvaratskhelia, right? He's won 2 league titles in the Champions League in one season. Like that's
That got to be the only player to ever do that. Surely.
Yeah. There's probably one more kicking around somewhere, but yeah, it's highly unlikely. So fair play.
But
to
on
him.
that point, that is exactly Chelsea should be taking everything from PSG and going, okay, let's slightly tweak our project towards the PSG model because they're very similar in ages across like average age across the squad, but in very key areas. They've got an experienced goalkeeper, albeit still fairly young for a goalkeeper, but experienced. You've got Hakimi, Marquinhos, like real experience there. And then they have him playing Dembele up front, which is he's 27, 28, which is really experienced. So you've got like a spine of really experienced players with some of the best young talent out there. That's where Chelsea need to just pivot towards and just add a Magnon, centre-back, etc.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about Money Mike in a second. I truthfully think the biggest difference between the two in terms of projects is the manager. Like, Luis Enrique is a world-class manager. Like, he just wins stuff everywhere he goes. Like, it is what it is. PSG, I think, have gone for the seniority in that position. Like you say, Marquinhos is now the most capped PSG player of all time. And having someone like that in your squad is super important. Chelsea obviously don't have those. I guess Reece would be the closest in terms of that senior position, but it's just nowhere near the same as someone like Marquinhos, who's been on the radar of everyone for like 10 years. Weirdly, I just think of Brazilian players that have played for PSG just would suit Chelsea. Just something that just always.
Marquinhos gives me this I'm not saying he's on the same level, but he gives me like Thiago Silva vibes in the fact that everybody always wants him, but he just never left. Like, I feel like we've been linked with Marquinhos like on multiple summers. And then like it would not surprise me if in like another couple of years we all of a sudden get Marquinhos on a free and he just follows Thiago Silva's route to us. And then we'll go, why did we imagine if we'd had him 5 years ago and when he joins or something.
Yeah, agreed. Well, let's go from talking about a French team to a French goalkeeper, Money Mike Magnon, who has been, I would say, probably the most discussed rumour this week, or link, I suppose, because I think it's gone from being a rumour to a sort of more tangible link. Obviously, for us, the group chat's been quite alive with conversation about him, with some sort of valleys and troughs, I suppose, about whether the club are acting in the appropriate way. Danny, I'll come to you first. Firstly, on the links with the goalkeeper, what do you think? And secondly, how do you feel the club are conducting themselves?
Yeah, it's quite an interesting one in our group chat because actually usually I'm the really angry, what the fuck are we doing person in the chat. And actually this time I was the more reserved one, kind of understanding what the club are doing. To some of my friends calling me a brown envelope after I said that as well, which is quite funny. But yeah, I mean, profile-wise, the exact goalkeeper we need. Great with his feet, experienced, kind of pretty much ticks absolutely every box that a Chelsea fan has been asking for in that position, probably since Mendy left, if not even before Mendy came, because I don't think anyone expected Mendy to do what he did for 1 year, and then he went back to probably what we all expected him to do after that. So yeah, I think it's perfect. And my argument always in the group chat was they can't be seen really to just go and pay what Milan want for him, like PR-wise, media-wise, whatever you want to call it, when you're going for Ekatike, you're talking to Everton about Branthwaite, you're talking to Dortmund about Gittins, for example, and you're trying to get every single fee down. All of a sudden, you just go and pay Magnon 25 million with no arguments. It doesn't set the right precedent in the media, shall we call it. I understand individually the fact of not paying 25 million for Magnon is ridiculous, when then 24 hours later we're linked with an 18-year-old fullback for 35 million, which is just ludicrous individually, but I understand why the club might be potentially doing that. And I will give them the time to get it over the line. But if they fuck it up and don't do the deal when 25 million relatively is very good money for the goalkeeper you get, then they deserve all the criticism they'll get for not doing their deal. And if we hear that, oh yeah, well, Sanchez second half of the season was better and Petrovic is going to be good and all of that bollocks after fumbling that deal, it's not going to go down well.
I like Petrovic, but I agree with you. It's bad optics, and also like Serie A teams just lowball everyone. So I'm not overly averse to playing a bit of hardball over Mike Magnon. Like we said in the chat, I think it's partly designed to encourage the player to push for a move, which it seems as though might be being the case. Luke, how do you feel?
Yeah, I was quite pent up at the time, I think, but it's more the case of the flip-flopping between briefs within the media, because you have the first link that come out of nowhere from Fabrizio that was like Chelsea are bang on it, etc. It could really escalate, blah blah blah. Then suddenly we're really happy with the goalkeepers we've got. Then it's Maresca really wants Magnon, and he said yes to it. It's just that process that. It's driven from clubs, whether that's from Milan or whether that's from Chelsea, and which one's which, you don't know. But Chelsea are terrible with doing this, with the briefs, with the way they flip-flop in the media. And that's the thing that really frustrated me at the time. It's like, either do the deal in silence or don't come out with two completely different lines of opinion. Maresca either wants him or he doesn't. The goalkeepers we've got are either good enough or they aren't. And we're either going to go for Magnon or we're not. Don't keep changing the scenario. And I think also, obviously, we can't go into too much detail with bits and pieces that we've heard, but it's the way that we're hearing certain things going that also frustrates you. And it's the way it comes across initially. And after time, obviously, you can then see the way it pans out. But it's always that initial thought process that makes it feel worse than what it is. And for what it's worth, I think we'll probably get that one over the line now. And obviously, Magnon pushing that helps, which is really good. But on the player himself, I think what Danny said is exactly. He ticks every box for what we need: experience, leadership. He's a winner. He's fairly cheap. He's a good age. He's not going to stop Penders from becoming number one in 2 or 3 years' time if that's the route that he goes down. So I think everything ticks the right box with the deal as long as I can get it over the line.
Couldn't agree more. Could not agree more. Like, I think I've said it on this podcast on multiple occasions. Sometimes the club needs to learn to shut up and stop briefing things, because you, like Luke said, you let it come out from Fabrizio that he's the perfect goalkeeper, Maresca wants a new keeper, and then like a day later after Milan have briefed that we only want to pay 8 million when they want 25 and stuff like that, then you go, oh well, you know, Maresca's quite happy with Sanchez and he improved and we like all four and we're not in a rush. It's like, you can't do both. We're not stupid. We understand what's going on. So either shut up and do the deal in silence and then go, boom, this is the goalkeeper, this is everything you want, and everyone goes really happy, or just stick to a line in the thing. And I understand there's a lot nowadays. There's a lot of briefs and counter briefs, and that's quite a lot of negotiation does go on in the media and puts pressure on that way and stuff like that. But it's just so annoying.
Yeah, it is annoying. I will say, Money Mike will give us heart attacks. I promise.
Yeah, fine.
I promise.
He won't give us less than Sanchez, more than Sanchez.
You know what a La Croqueta is, yeah?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, wait till you see this guy try and La Croqueta Premier League attackers. I promise you he will do it, and I will be in the group chat the day that he does, or tries to Cruyff turn his way out of near the corner flag. He is that guy. He's a wonderful, wonderful goalkeeper. But I promise you, he's going to make you shit yourself just a little bit sometimes. But
I promise you, he has more brain cells in the front left part of his brain than Sanchez has in 2 of his heads put together. So
yeah, that's for sure. And
So-
I agree with Luke as well. I think the deal.
and
will
also,
go.
if he goes for a long ball, it might end up in the vicinity of the player, not into Rosette.
Even
So-
a 5-yarder.
Yeah. The amount of times you go see Sanchez clip a ball over a fullback into attacker, and it just hits Maresca, and you're like, brilliant.
I'm convinced that Sanchez, every time he gets on the pitch, he looks for where the cameras are. I think he does that before he looks at anything else. He just likes to know where the cameras are. He loves to be seen.
Or he loves the really big dive for no reason when he could have
a really
just
soft
done
floated
that.
pass. He loves it. It's just for Instagram.
Fall to the floor.
Hold it. It's like
just so he can get
11th minute.
someone to make a compilation of Sanchez saves.
Yeah, 100%. He's going to get aura edits made for himself.
Yeah.
I do wonder what it means for Petrovic. I think objectively last season Petrovic had a stronger season than Mike Maignan, to be honest with you. But AC Milan had a really a poor season for their standard, whereas Strasbourg had the best season they've ever had. So those sort of contextual things need to be brought into it. But agreed, Money Mike is...
I don't know if you watched any of the last game for Strasbourg when they were pushing for Champions League, but Petrovic dropped an absolute stinker.
Yeah, I'm aware. Yeah, he did.
An absolute stinker. Like he looked like Sanchez. Like when.
I think Maignan looked a bit like Sanchez as well last night. To be honest with you. So,
yeah, but he's thinking about where he's going to live in Fulham and Cobham, and he's probably out in the stands watching him, so he's just a bit nervous.
People were giving him stick over a couple of the goals. I really think only one of the goals was his fault, and the Yamal goal. I think that one he should have saved, but I think other than that, it's really harsh to nitpick on any of the other 4 goals.
Last night was just the epitome of why you should never listen to Chelsea Twitter, because everyone was going, "Oh, he looks like a worse Sanchez." You're like, "Oh, fuck me," because of one game against arguably one of the best attacks in the world.
Literally during that day, he told his club he wants to leave to move to Chelsea. You think his mind was on a Nations League game? Absolutely
actually,
no way.
I think the thing I like the most about Maignan is he's won league titles with 2 teams, but both of those teams were not expected to win those titles when they won them. Like for a team that's not PSG to win Liga is insane, and for when they won the Scudetto in Serie A, like they were not at all expected to do so, and from that time on have not been expected to do so. I think with the appointment of Allegri, AC Milan will look to build back, but I'm not sure if what a 40-year-old Luka Modric is going to really drag them to a league title. Although I love Luka Modric, but I don't really like that move, to be honest with you.
Max Allegri plays the most disgusting,
boring football
ever.
Yeah,
like the amount of times I think I remember watching him a game when he was at Juve before, and he had like Mandzukic playing at like left wing and like basically playing into midfield, and you're just like, he's had like 6 defenders on the pitch, 3 destroying midfielders, and then big geezers on the wing. You're like, fuck me, this is boring.
Do you remember the 21-22 season when they were in our Champions League group and we played away there, and it was like the worst game ever? I think we lost 1-0 maybe from memory.
Was that not when Pulisic scored? Am I thinking of something else?
Don't think so. I'm sure we lost 1-0 from memory, and then we absolutely trounced them at the Bridge. I was at that game.
Yeah, nice. Well, I think regardless of what they do, I think Maignan comes in and brings the experience we need. I hope he's a secure pair of hands too, and I think Chelsea fans, it's one of those transfers that I think will universally be accepted and appreciated. So I would say it's positive signs. And I think, like you say, Luke, I think the deal will get over the line. I know there's pressure to get players in before the Club World Cup because Chelsea are expected to perform to a good level in that tournament. Obviously, I don't think they're going to win it, but they're expected to do well enough to at least, not completely embarrass themselves. And Maignan coming in will certainly help. I think once those players are in, it's just going to be about getting rid of players en masse, to be honest with you. But I think between the three of us, and I know Si as well, we're all a fan of the goalkeeper, and we hope that he comes in because it's just a round peg in a round hole, and Chelsea haven't been so good at identifying round pegs for round holes. So yeah, it's a good move all around, and I think the fee, even at the top end of the fee, is probably fine. So that is what it is.
I think individually, it's just pay 25 million and shut up.
Yeah.
I understand the snowballing effect. I can kind of understand why they need to negotiate and whatever, but it's one of those ones. If you're on Football Manager or if you're in charge, you're set. If I was in charge for a day and you go, you can sign Maignan for 25 million, I'd be like, do you want
well,
one payment?
When you find a player who's got like a buyout clause, when they've got a little buyout clause, oh my god, he's so cheap, buy him now.
Yeah. If you just be like, I'll go into negotiations. What do you want? 25 million? Okay.
Sound.
Okay, cool.
Great.
Yeah.
I was going to offer you 40, but fine.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, fine.
Okay, cool.
You leave the room like, what the fuck were they on?
Yeah, like either they've sold us something really dodgy, or they don't know what they're selling.
Found out he's got no ACL in both legs.
Yeah. He's actually broken both his wrists. But fine. Okay, well, I think we're all agreement that he's a good keeper and we'll be happy to take him. I will say, you seen the rumours that Kepa going to Arsenal for a backup 5 million? How do we feel about that?
Just
fine.
Laugh out loud.
Let him have it. Let him have it, and then
you give us more money for a shit player, please do.
Yeah. And then I can't wait for the media of the best you've ever seen of me coming in, and then hope we play Arsenal first game of the season and just stamp on Raya's hand, so they have to play Kepa for 6 months.
Get Delap in to push Raya into the crowd.
Just from a corner, just elbow him straight in the eye socket.
Okay, well let's move from goalkeeper into defence. I think the only real link we're seeing at the moment is Hato, the Ajax defender. Luke, I know your piece touches on him a little bit. Do you have anything you wish to say about him? I think we all like the player. He's a good profile. I think he would be an outstanding squad player with the potential to start should we need him to. Again, the fee's very sensible. Players from Ajax, typically always perform when they leave, apart from the odd few, especially if they go to Manchester United. But again, good player, sensible business. It's nice to see, right?
Yeah, definitely. I think rumoured fees somewhere between 20 and 30 million, which is a snip for the potential of the player.
Yeah,
he's like 6'1", left back, left centre back as well. I think he's the perfect squad player. He'll get loads of minutes. He can cover for Levi. He can cover for Cucurella. It wouldn't surprise me after a year if he was pushing for a starting place as well in both positions, because I think he'll go right without the risk of sounding like Harry Redknapp. I think he'll go right to the top.
Oh, you can sound like Harry Redknapp if you want. I think the thing I like about him the most, he's an excellent passer, as is to be expected with Ajax.
And I think stats are outrageous.
I think the systemic transition from Ajax to Chelsea will not be so difficult. Like the ball retention, the ball possession side of Maresca's play will probably suit him quite nicely. He's certainly going to be a figure in the international setup for the next decade, probably too. So I like it. Danny, any thoughts?
Yeah, I think it's a perfect signing. It's exactly what I don't mind us doing in buying a younger, unproven player in a position where you can rely on Cucurella, but also you're not bothered if Cucurella had to be rested or did get a little injury that Hato can step in. I think he's perfect for that left centre back spot where he could play as a left centre back in possession if we're inverting from the right. He could push forward if we're playing more of attacking wing back kind of role. He could also probably invert because of how silky he is on the ball. So, I think it's perfect signing, to be honest. And for 20 million, it's a no-brainer.
Yeah, agreed. Look at this. I feel like we're going to roll through things in agreement today, to be honest with you. Let's go into midfield. Talking about recent football matches that have been played since we last spoke. Obviously, Ecuador played Brazil as well, and Ancelotti's first game, which he has received the most negative press I think Ancelotti's ever received in his life. Vinicius Junior is getting an absolute battering everywhere. I think I saw a stat, I could be wrong, so this is not completely factual. I know we have a few people that listen from Brazil, so please correct me if I'm wrong. But I think it's something like Vinicius Junior, out of the 40 games he's played for Brazil, has not registered a goal or assist in 31 of those games, and has a
That's
little bit
mental.
of the Phil Fodens about him when it comes to international football. However, my main takeaway from the game, now I watched a fair amount of the game, to be honest with you, and Moise Caicedo might be the best midfielder in the world. He's actually unstoppable at this point. I can't see him leaving Chelsea at any point because the contract's so long and the fee was so large that to get him is going to be basically impossible. But my goodness me, he's very good, and had an absolutely barnstorming performance and was shutting things down left, right, and centre. Like, I think when you're getting to a point now where even rival fans are getting, are beginning to say, "Goodness me, this guy is unplayable." It's a really, really wonderful foundation for Chelsea to have. And I think the midfielders that decorate around Caicedo are really good too, including Asugo, who the club have announced. We spoke before recording about a specific goal that he scored from about 400 yards away, slapped it into the top right-hand corner. And I think something that Danny said prior to recording was about his ball striking. And actually, we'll get on to Delap in a bit, and we'll talk about Jamie Bino-Gittins as well. But ball striking, it seems to be something that the club are either inadvertently or advertently targeting players who can do so, rather than having, I'm not going to name names of players that have been in or are in the Chelsea squad that can't ball strike so cleanly, but to replace those individuals with footballers who can weirdly kick a football. Is quite nice to see. And actually, Luke, there's reason to be hopeful with Asugo, and actually, I think there's also potential he could be a starter at some points, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think from everything that I've looked at on him and researched on him, he looks like a mini Caicedo in a way. He's got that sort of profile about him. I think he's going to come in and be a squad player probably for the first year, and then you don't know, he might rival the likes of Fernandes, Lavia, Santos. I think it's just that midfield sort of pool that we've got is just exceptional. And to add to what you're saying about Caicedo, I think he could well be the best midfielder, best holding midfielder in the world right now. I think he is sensational. Like you say, long contract. I don't see him leaving anytime soon. He's a Chelsea fan again. Something that we speak about often. I think we mentioned when we spoke about Jadon Sancho last week, is it's nice to have Chelsea fans in the squad because you can always tell it means that little bit more to them.
Yeah.
And with Caicedo, you can see how passionate he is. And the thing I like about him is in the sort of lesser games, if you like, he'll coast through, he'll do well, he'll do what he has to do, nothing spectacular. When it gets to the games where you really need him, he's always the first to step up. And like you say, I've only seen bits and pieces of the game last night, but whenever they need him, he was there putting fires out just constantly. And I think that is a skill to have.
For me, what I agree, and what I think about is, you remember the famous Diego Costa quote that he said to John Terry, "I go to war, you go with me." I think Caicedo brings that completely. Like, he doesn't need to speak and be as sort of personable and gregarious as someone like Diego Costa, but Caicedo is ready for war immediately. Like, if he, he doesn't want to throw hands about, but if he has to, then it is what it is. Like, he's ready. Yeah. He's flawless, and I think that he's probably going to consistently be Chelsea's player of the season for the next few seasons, unless CP10.
Cole's gonna have to score like 50 goals next year just to get it, because Caicedo is just the floor monster who will always drop a 7.5 out of 10, and then in big games he'll drop a 10 out of 10 performance. Like, it was so uncharacteristic for him when he first joined to give away that penalty in his debut, and I don't think since then he's probably had a bad game.
No, I don't think he has either.
And there's something about aggressive black DMs that always do well at Chelsea. Like, you've got Makelele, Kante, Caicedo, which sounds stupid, but there's just something about Asugu and the way he plays which just makes me think he'll be successful, because that type of profile always does well at Chelsea.
Yeah, Asugo, he will definitely do well. And I think when you look at the...
It'd be perfect to actually give him, like, Caicedo a bit of a rest as well. Like, I think the biggest thing you'll see this next season is, say we play Real Madrid in away in the Champions League, and then we've got Burnley at home on the Sunday or something. Going from Caicedo and Enzo in midfield to Asugu and Santos, or Lavia and Santos for the Burnley game, you won't see much of a drop off. Whereas in the Conference League, we've gone from But like this year, we've had Caicedo and Enzo to like. At one point, we had Dewsbury Hall and Cassaday in midfield, and you're just like, could you possibly? And that's no slight on both of those players, but that's just such a massive downgrade. Whereas next year, I don't think you'll see that drop off. Or like Santos for the last 20, 25 minutes in the game is going to make such an impact. Whereas we didn't have an option for the whole of the end of the season.
I'm going to sound ridiculous now, but if you study art or art history, you have something called a triptych, which is like a section of 3 paintings, and Chelsea have now a pentatych, right? So you've got 5 options that can sit in that midfield that are all beautiful and all in their own way really, really positive. I think Asugo comes in at the lowest form of that, and that's not to say his ability is the weakest, although it probably is at this point. And then you've got Andre Santos, Lavia, Caicedo, Enzo. That 5 is crazy. Like absolutely,
it's the best midfield ball in the Premier League.
It is big pressure on Maresca. I agree with you 100% what you said, Luke. But big pressure on Maresca to keep them all happy next year.
But we're going to have 60 games, like more than likely.
As we saw last year, Maresca doesn't particularly like rotating very much. You have a very set team.
I don't think that's completely fair. He rotated a lot early doors, especially with the Conference League.
Yeah, but that was not rotating. That was just one team plays in one and one team plays in the other. There was not much difference. You can only play the competitions
you're in, can't you? Like now, like Jay just said.
What I'm saying is there wasn't much difference. Yes, there was 2 different squads, but you didn't see much of, okay, Noni's not doing particularly well in the Prem, and Nkunku is playing well, and you didn't see Nkunku step into the Prem team and Noni get dropped down into the Conference League.
I'd argue there was never really a case for it. I don't think scoring a couple of goals in the Conference League gets you into the Premier League 11 if the Premier League 11 aren't playing so well.
Nkunku scored like 12 goals in like 6 weeks in the Conference League, and then had 6 minutes off the bench for the 6 weeks that he did that.
But I think that's a rare case. I think Maresca never rated Nkunku, did he? You could see that quite early on in the season. I think now we actually, and like we all keep saying, it's a big word, but if the sort of the transfer targets that we're trying to pull off do come in, you're not going to see a drop off switching in any position really. You think even if you have to rotate Neto to Esteval, or you've got Gittins.
Esteval's probably going to be better than Neto quite quickly, would be my guess.
Exactly. And in literally any position on the pitch, if you've got the Lap and Ekatike, you rotate one for the other, you're not dropping at all. Right back, you rotate Reece to probably Achiampong. Like you're in any position now, we're not going to have that. Whereas last year, if you had to rotate, I don't know, Cucurella, then you've got Renato Vega, decent player, but nowhere near Cucurella's level, etc. So I think, last season Maresca wasn't great at rotating, but also I don't think he really had the options for a lot of the time.
Yeah, no, I give you that, and I do think there's probably been some self-reflection from Maresca, thinking he probably didn't handle the squad side probably particularly well to start with. He definitely had a better handle on it towards the end of the season. So we've got to realise that Maresca's only really had 2 proper jobs in management, and
the club are backing him big time.
So 100%. Well, we're Man City's Academy B team, aren't we? So. Maresca, who was your best player when you were at the academy? Oh, Gittins was pretty good. Oh, okay, we'll sign him. Lavia was quite good under me as well. Oh, we'll have him as well. So, but I would say there's not much excuse for not having a good 2 cup runs, like domestic cup runs next year,
100%.
because your second team is good enough to compete. Like you're not going from Caicedo to Dewsbury Hall, you're going from Caicedo to Asugu or Lavia or Santos or something like that. So
I think
there's no excuse to go out to Brighton 3-0 in the cup.
I think if to be honest, at this point, if Chelsea were to get to a Champions League quarter-final, finish in the top 4 and win an FA Cup next season, I'd be pretty pleased.
That'd be an amazing season.
My biggest worry is that we won't be able to handle the Champions League and Premier League. We might have a similar season to like a Villa, where we weren't very good. We're not particularly good until kind of Jan time. And then when Villa went out, they went on like the last 12, 13 games. I think they only lost twice. My worry is that current squad, and then we can reassess that once they've done the transfers. But my current worry is we don't have the squad to compete in two tournaments. Two massive tournaments as well.
Let's move on from the midfield, because it seems as though that sort of left side that I discussed in my piece, that Luke, you've touched on with Bino Gittins in yours, and I think Danny is sort of alluding to that, strengthening that part of the team. I suppose, well, not alluding to strengthening that part of the team, but to having a sort of stronger quality within the squad, I suppose. Is Gittins has been linked extensively over the last sort of week, 2 weeks. I know some people are less keen, others slightly more keen. I'm seeing people saying there's no real difference between him and Tyreek George. There absolutely is. Just don't be ridiculous. I mean, Tyreek George is a wonderful player, but he's not bagged goals in the Champions League yet. Do you know what I mean? He's not played in front of 80,000 people regularly and performed. As much as I like George, I think he could do with a loan. However, whilst we all have our preferences, another name has come into the sort of Rolodex, as it were, for the older heads listening to this, because Rolodexes don't exist anymore, obviously, is Mohamed Kudus, with potentially Kiernan Dewsbury Hall going the other way. That Dewsbury Hall to West Ham is like the most West Ham move I could possibly think of in the whole world. If I was him, I'd try and get a move to
Good
Forest.
signing as well.
Yeah, it's a good signing. I actually like him as a player. I think he's a really tidy player.
So that's a good shout on Forest. Like, if, say, for example, Gibbs White leaves, I don't think replacing Gibbs White with Dewsbury Hall is a bad thing.
No, I don't, and I think you can slightly tweak the way the squad works to lean on a few other players, and then Kiernan Dewsbury Hall can have that ability. And also in the Championship, he was double figures goals and assists, I believe. So, and Conference League, he clearly performs very well. Like, he played the most minutes out of any player in our squad in the Conference League and looked more than comfortable basically in every game. So, for where Forest are at, and I think realistically where Forest should be, he's probably a very good player for them. But also for West Ham, I think Potter will probably get something out of him. But West Ham looks shit at the moment, so we'll
a lot of West Ham fans are not happy with Potter already as well. He's going to have to start well,
but not my problem.
He's still got Lopetegui's crap, hasn't he?
Yeah, he does.
He has, but he doesn't help himself when on the last day of the season you're playing. Was it Arsenal on the last day of the season, and he played with 8 defensive players on the pitch and a goalie?
Yeah,
so it was literally 6 defenders, 2 holding midfielders. Bowen was literally it. And you had Kudus and Paqueta and people like that on the bench. It's like, it's last home game of the season. We've been absolutely shit, and you're playing for a 0-0 draw.
Luke, what do you think of the Kudus links?
I mean, a little bit too much. 2 years ago, I think I'd have snapped your hand off for it. I think he's a really good player, but he's coming off the back of a really poor year. I think overall, depending on the value of the deal, I think I can see why they're looking at him. He fills the quota of sort of that Swiss Army knife across the attacking line. He's probably best off the right, but he can equally play off the left. He can play in the 10. He can play as a 9 as well. So I like the element of that sort of Swiss Army knife, that versatility to him. I think he's an amazing dribbler. He carries the ball so well. One of the best in the league at carrying the ball. So I like what they're doing. And again, ball striking. Like you said, I don't know whether they're advertently doing it or inadvertently, but they seem to be going for players that can carry a ball. Delap and Ekatike for the strikers, they carry the ball so well. They can strike a ball well. So overall, I like it if the deal's right. I think West Ham quoting sort of 70 million's a bit mental.
Yeah.
Especially last summer, I could see them quoting that because he come off like a nearly 20 goal assist season. This year, not so much. I think sort of 35, 40 million plus Dewsbury Hall would be a very fair deal. I think
50, 55 in total would be a good deal.
Yeah, I think 35, 40 plus Dewsbury Hall would be fair. Dewsbury Hall's probably worth, 20?
Maybe send them Ben Roberts as well and Sanchez and still pay him 40 million.
Yeah, we'd have to pay him 45 to do that.
Yeah.
But I don't mind it at all.
ADH, Ben Roberts, and 50 million, and we might just get Kudus's right foot.
But going on to sort of the Gittins side of things, I think people are getting frustrated because there's no real transparency over what that signing is for. The way I view it at the current point of the window, bearing in mind we're only 6 days in, is Gittins is being signed to replace the Sancho profile of the squad. Rotational left winger, he can sort of play as a squad player quite often. He can feature in rotation, and there will be a better or a more accomplished player signed ahead of him. That's the way I'm looking at it. If we get to the 1st of September and the only left winger we've signed is Jamie Gittins, I would be a little bit frustrated, definitely. But I think at this point of the window, I think it'd be a smart move for only they reckon 30 million. It's only 5 million more than what Sancho would have cost us to sign permanently.
Yeah.
I think he's a good player with great potential.
Yeah, a lot younger too. And again, I like the reason why I had concerns about Ekatike, for example, a player we might discuss in a bit, although I'm not really sure what more we can say on him because the deal is maybe slowly progressing. We don't really know. But Gittins massively overperforms his expected goals. Now, there's two reasons why that happens. You're either lucky or amazing at finishing. He's got really, really good at finishing. I think he got 12 goals in all comps off an XG of about 5 point something. So he's literally more than he's like Chris Wood level of overperforming his expected goals. I like Gittins. I think Kudus is a better player than Gittins. Kudus is sick. I rate him so highly. West Ham, I thought was a weird move for him. Like he performed really well when he got there, but West Ham are such a bizarre team that one season they can be 7th, 8th, 9th, and the next season they can be borderline relegated. It's very sort of West Ham behaviour, but I do think at Chelsea he would be very, very, very good, and I would certainly be open to taking him. Danny, on a quick one, would you take Kudus?
Absolutely. Yeah. Hands down, and I would agree with what Luke said about Gittins as well. If that's your Sancho replacement, then fine, sign me up. Like even if you do like a bit of a PSR thing where you might pay 45, but then you get 25, 30 for 35 for Carney, then do it. I don't know what's wrong with me today. But yeah, like even if you ended up paying 40, 45, 50 even, but you then send Carney the other way for like the full release clause that you want, and you do something like that, then I don't want to sell Carney because I think he's great, but it's obviously I've got my head around the fact that they're just trying to sell him. But I mean, if you could do something like sell Noni to Newcastle for like 50 odd million, you sent Sancho back, you sign Gittins, Kudus, and one more winger, you've massively improved.
Yeah, what if you have Gittins, Kudus, Esteval, and Neto?
I'd argue you need more of a 10 than another winger in that case.
But Kudus could easily play 10. Esteval
can play 10. Facts. And actually, Esteval can play 10 as well.
Yeah,
that's the thing they're building. They're building every single attacker can play in at least two of those three positions.
What I'd like to see more next season as well is not only is it a Swiss Army knife in where they start, but allow everybody to kind of drift on the pitch as well. So if Cole, as you saw, 100%. If you saw Cole, he started picking up the right hand half space in the Conference League final, and he's got 2 assists from it. Well, if that happens, and then Esteval drifts into the middle, or Kudus drifts into the middle, or what have you, I think that's exactly what you need to be going for. But I mean, if you, for some reason, I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's because we saw Simon put in the Neto to Saudi links or something like that. But it's just something about me feels like Neto could go, and that's not because Chelsea want to sell him, but they really like Portuguese players in Saudi. And there's quite a contingent over there, which probably makes it a little bit easier for them to go.
But his best friend is Ruben Neves as well.
Yeah, exactly. So, like, I could actually see in a situation where last season we had Sancho, Mudryk, Neto, and Noni as our 4 wingers, and we could potentially go into the season next year with none of them.
Yeah.
I don't think that's Chelsea's plan.
I wouldn't be that fussed. I can't lie. I like Neto, and I think that having an actual number 9 will really benefit his career at Chelsea.
Yeah.
But if they were to say,
they came in and give us most of our money back, even 50, I'd be like, yeah, fair enough. Like, get most of it back. I think I said on this podcast in January, there was not one signing we made last summer that if you could say I'll have a full refund, take them back, you wouldn't send back. And Neto, I still feel like that. I feel like he can be much better. But if Saudi come in with a 50-60 million pound bid, and Noni Newcastle come with a 50-55 million bid for Noni, and then you go and sign Kudus, Gittins, and maybe one more.
Yeah.
Like, say you ended and you went and got, I don't know, Nico Williams, and then Nico Williams could play left and right. You've got Kudus who could play left, right, and middle. Esteval can play right and middle. Like, you've can massively upgrade, and you've not probably spent any more money than you'd bring in the scenario of Neto going to Saudi.
Yeah, I can
That's not even selling him for a ridiculous fee. Like you see, I don't know, Nunes getting quoted like 70, 80 million to go to Saudi. We're not going to be rinsing them for the money, just pretty much what we paid for him.
Yeah. I know. I understand what you're saying completely. Maybe João Felix.
Because on the book as well, on the book, thinking about it, because you can only do it over 5 years, we paid like what, 60 for Neto?
Yeah, 50.
So you don't, yeah, let's call it, in the scenario in my head, it's 60. We've
Yeah.
already amortized 12 million
54.
of
There you
this.
go.
54. So in 54, you've basically amortized 11 million, let's call
Yeah.
it. So anything over 40 million, you're making a profit. So you could easily sell them for 45, 50 million to Saudi, and then go and spend 10 million more than that on getting a Williams in, for example, if
Well,
you can do the wages.
maybe he can go and join Inzaghi, bastard. Fine. Let's,
Then you might forgive him.
No, I won't forgive him. That's fine. He can take Neto if he wants him. I guess the last sort of little thing to touch on, I guess it's more of a nice touch on a room or anything, but Cole Palmer, number 10. It's nice, isn't it? Looks kind of right.
I think it was Liv Blazargo said on Twitter or something like that. She was just like, it just looks so right that I've actually forgotten what number Cole bore last year, and I feel the same.
Yeah. To be
Like,
fair,
he should have always been the 10.
Yeah,
Should have always been number 10. I don't know why we gave it to Mudryk.
Oh, I love Mudryk. I'm so gutted it's gone the way it's gone. What an amazing
Mm.
player. I love him so much. I hope
I'd love to see him get like acquitted this summer and go and have a good loan and then just see what happens.
Yeah, me too. Just has
like, I'd be half tempted to go send him to Strasbourg for a year. Like, he'd go and rip up the French league.
Yeah, he'd be amazing at like RB Leipzig as well, or somewhere like
Yeah,
that. He can play in transition. But I'm happy for Cole. He definitely deserves it, and it feels like someone can finally step into Hazard's shoes. Talking about big numbers on the back of shirts, we've got a new number 9, Luke. Liam Delap announced, which we spoke about. We've spoken to him at length, I guess, over the last year, maybe last 6 months. I guess this comes in tandem with Osimhen pricing himself out of literally every move possible, where he might just stay at Galatasaray, which I also kind of respect, but he should have come to Chelsea. But it is what it is. Delap chose the 9. Now, he's an absolute flat track bully. Again, brilliant ball striker. And I'm getting to the point now where I'm almost overconfident he's going to do very well. And I think that even for someone like Ekitike, I don't think that price tag means you're going to start games regularly after 10 or 15, because I think Delap's going to score bucket loads, right?
I think they both would. I think signing them both would just be, well, but take Osimhen out the equation. It's a dream having both of them as your striking options. No matter who's playing, you know that you've got a striker there that can finish, that can carry the ball, that can strike a ball so well. In Delap's case, you've got a bully and a physical presence. In Ekitike, you've got just an absolute menace. Like,
he's sleek. He's very sleek.
Yeah, exactly. And he's just so
Victor
so
Wanyama of football. Wanyama for any NBA fans out there.
I do indeed, yeah. That's
but
a
yeah,
great actually, Danny.
I think that number 9 shirt on Liam Delap is gonna look good, and I don't think it's gonna be.
He did look good in the announcement. He looked like a Chelsea player in it. I was not that keen on Delap because I was worried because Maresca likes him that might be okay, fine, we'll just go Jackson and Delap, which would really worry me. But if the directors and the ownership get Ekitike and Delap over the line, I can do nothing but praise them. There's people who have doubted their ambition, but if you go and sign those two, then I'll only sing praises for them.
Yeah, I think the thing that I like about Delap taking the 9 is the confidence that he showed. Like, cause he could have easily taken the 19. It's just come up. He had that last season at Ipswich. He could have shied away from it and just let somebody else take it. But he's clearly said, that's the number I want. That's what I'm going to do. I'm going to be the number 9 for this club. And the thing is, like, the number 9 curse is there to be seen. But we've had players that have done okay in it in recent years. Tammy, for example, did well in it. So it's not as bad as it used to be. And I
the biggest thing with getting Ekitike with it the biggest thing with getting Ekatike with it is like, yes, he's the number 9, but there won't be as much pressure on him to be the number 9.
Yeah.
So you like, I think as much as I don't particularly rate Jackson, I feel bad for him at times that he's had no competition, he's had no help in that position the whole time he's been here.
Yeah.
So him getting Ekatike and Delap would, you could argue it'd be the best two, like not best striker in the Premier League, but it'd probably be the best 2 options in the Premier League, bar maybe City and like, I don't really, don't really see Marmoush as a 9, but like actual 9s is probably the best 2 in the Premier League.
All of the people that voted 0, well, nobody voted.
I knew he was going to say that.
Nobody voted with it. You all can see what I'm on about. The guy's unbelievable. He is unbelievable. He's borderline going to be team of the season next season. Mark my words. What I was going to say.
Who was that? Who's going to be team of the season?
Marmoush.
Oh yeah. Sorry, I was on the same page as you. Thank you.
I know you were. You were the only one. Everyone else, Mr. Luke Rushbrook included, I think.
To be fair,
if the ownership are listening, bring me and Jay in the scouting department. That's what you need to do.
The particular conversation and poll you're talking about, to be fair, I was asking for Liam Delap and we've got him. So
fair, fine.
Well, I just think Marmoush is just more of a 10, and I think if Cole wasn't pictured as the only 10, like basically only as a 10 by Maresca, I think we would have maybe looked at the Marmoush deal. I just think that I don't think you could play Marmoush and Cole defensively wise. I mean, because they're both not going to track back.
What are the expectations? Danny, I'll come to you first because Luke, I know Delap is someone you've probably got the most knowledge on out of all 4 of us here at SPTC. But Danny, what are the expectations? Let's say next season Delap remains uninjured for the whole season. Across all comps, what are we thinking sort of goals, assists, target-wise?
It's hard to put a number on it.
15 Premier League goals, I think. 18 Premier League goals.
Yeah, 15 would be fine. It's quite hard at this stage because if it's Jackson and Delap's going to have to score 20 because I think he will play more than Jackson and the burden will have to be more on Delap's. If you get Ekatike and you could get 15 from both, or 12 and 18 from one or something like that, I think that's a lot different. I'm just looking for him to score the goals he should score and be who Delap is and frustrate defenders, bully them, create space for other people. Whereas I feel like as good as Jackson is in build up and stuff like that, he doesn't occupy defenders particularly well, meaning that Cole quite often doesn't have the space. And I think that's the one thing is quite clear what we're talking about, ball striking and progressive carries and stuff like that they're obviously looking for, but we also need more players that take more attention away from people like Cole, which I think we didn't have last season at all. Like if you had, in the example, you had Gittins on the left, Kudus on the right, Palmer in the 10 and Delap or Ekatike up front, you can't just double Cole Palmer because then one of them are going to be free, and they're so all good 1v1 and beating their man that if they're left 1v1 and 2 are looking after Cole, you're just going to have a massive overload on the defense. So we're starting to build a team and a squad that can break down low blocks because everybody will have to be looked at with a big attention, which is only going to make Cole better. I think Cole will get more assists next year.
Yeah, man. I think Cole's numbers are going to go mental if the signings that come through come in. I think
we got so many assists last year, and I reckon I watched a comp not too long ago of big chances missed by Cole Palmer creating them, and I mean, he probably should have had 10 to 15 more assists.
Yeah. Oh yeah, he's like he has the capacity whereby if the right players could do what they're meant to do, he would probably register a goal or assist every game.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. He'd go and score 15 goals a year and get, like, arguably you could say that he could push for De Bruyne's assist record in the Premier League. Because of how much he creates.
What I want from Cole is the Christian Eriksen at Spurs thing, which is every season Eriksen was at Spurs, maybe bar one, he got at least 10 goals and 10 assists in the Premier League.
Yeah, that should be his floor.
I actually think Cole could probably do 15 goals, 12 to 15 assists. So
I would say he could easily do 10 goals, 20 assists a season.
Yeah.
The amount he creates, because we had terrible finishers around him this year, and let me quickly look at it while we're talking. He
Thing is, that you use such a good
8
word,
assists in the
Andy,
Premier League.
in using the word occupy with Delap and Ekatike, to be fair, that space, Delap on his own can occupy 2 centre backs, which will then create more space for the others to flourish. And
You saw him
Cole
hold
giving
his
an
own
inch
at
of space.
Liverpool.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I think
At Liverpool against probably the two most dominating physically defenders in Van Dijk and Konate, and he held his own. So if you're going to occupy those two, you're going to be able to occupy Burnley's centre backs, which allows more space for Cole, so we can beat him. Because you would say we were like the mid-table Warriors last year. We got most of our points from people from like 8th to 15th in the table, and we didn't get enough from the top 6, and we didn't get enough from the bottom 3. Having people like Delap is going to just stop that, just because he occupies people so well.
Yeah, I agree, and I think we'll see. I think he'll be a really helpful presence for people like Esteval coming in, and the Brazilian Serie A is super physical, but it's also of a quality level far lower than the Premier League. And I think having someone like Delap in there who can, as you say, he can occupy space, he can occupy people. He is an absolute mutant at hassling. Delap in a Chelsea shirt is going to be such an arse for every single centre back to deal with. It's going to be mental. And I think Chelsea fans are going to warm to him so quickly, because he almost feels like a guaranteed success, which I know is a mad thing to say, but just the more I watch, the more I see. Even because he will have those games, unlike Jackson, where when Jackson has games where he doesn't score, he does nothing. All he does is waste chances. Whereas Delap will have games where he doesn't score, but he's taken 2 defenders out for 90 minutes. Like, it's just going to happen like that, and I think Chelsea fans are going to really warm to him. And I
think
hope
he also has that, like, in a good way, I don't give a fuck mentality.
Yeah,
So
of course.
like, I do have a worry that we go to the Bernabeu with the lap up front. I have to say I do, but I don't think it will get to him in his head. He won't care.
He's got that Cole Palmer gene, man. Like, I don't think he.
Yeah.
I think
He just don't give a fuck.
Well,
No.
actually, I think if you're really careful about the language, what it is it's not. I don't think he cares. I think it's that he doesn't mind. Like, I don't think he minds where he plays football. Like, I think he cares about succeeding, but he doesn't. I don't think he minds whether he's kicking ball in the street or whether he's playing at the Bernabeu. I think Delap has that Cole Palmer sort of energy of, well, I'm just playing football. You know, the Cole Palmer.
He just wants to fight. That's all.
Yeah.
That's what he wants to do. He just wants to fight for the ball and score goals.
Yeah,
That's
Just
fight.
what he
each
said
other.
in that interview yesterday. He said all he wants to do is score goals and fight, and that's what.
Just have a fight with people.
Yeah.
You're going to see at some point next year
criticism
where
of him.
Delap just snaps someone in half, and then all of a sudden you're going to have Cucurella, Enzo, all of them just surrounding him. I just love a bastard at Chelsea. Like, everyone that hates him and we love him, like Acosta. I love that.
He does pick up silly yellow cards, but
I love
that's
that.
fine when you've got an Ekatike if you do get banned for a game or whatever.
Oh, I love a player that gets silly yellow cards. It's just to feel alive. Just to
Yeah,
remind
but
you whilst you're alive.
Not silly yellow cards like Jackson.
No, Jackson's a petulant.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing I think. The difference between Delap and Jackson is Jackson's just a bit stroppy.
He's still a child, mate. He's a man child.
Go Emery. Go to your daddy, as Tuchel called.
I genuinely think
Conte
to be fair.
Wouldn't be surprised. What? Go give him Jackson and 50 million, 40 million for Rodgers.
I mean, there's so much Rodgers love at the moment. I mean, I do get it, but there are better options out there. There are better options.
Myself.
Yeah, I prefer.
Did you see the poll yesterday in the blog?
Yeah.
Rodgers got 62% of 428 votes. Simmons 22%. I nearly fell off my chair when I saw that.
Simmons is a madman.
Oh,
yeah.
He's got to be the number one target if we could target pretty much anybody.
If we're going for a hybrid left winger 10,
left wing 10
position,
I think it'd go. I think we said this in the chat. It goes Simmons, Eze, Rodgers for me.
Yeah. I'm also in the same, but I love Eze. Eze is
good. The thing is, though, I look at Eze, I just can't picture him in a Chelsea top. I'd love him to be. You know, like when you look at a player and you like, I can see you wearing Chelsea. I just don't see him wearing a Chelsea top.
Yeah, I agree. I can see Simmons in a Chelsea top though.
Yeah.
Actually, do you know what? I can see Eze more on a Spurs top than I can
Yeah,
on a
same.
Chelsea one.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Or an Arsenal one, which is
Yeah,
horrible.
agreed. And actually, I think that aside from like the super young, high potential players, like the say 21 to 22 plus age players, I think Chelsea are looking at players with European experience too. And someone like Javi Simmons, I mean, he literally got one-on-one taught by Neymar, and I love Neymar. So if anyone's been coached by Neymar and has played regularly with Luke, I can see your face. Clearly not a Neymar fan, no, yeah.
No.
You Neymar fan?
Well, I don't mind him. I think he gets overhyped, but yeah.
Oh, that's the most outrageous thing you've ever said.
Me or Luke?
No, Luke.
What did you say? Luke? Overhyped.
Neymar's overhyped.
I think there's the issue with the Neymar thing is there's people like you that literally, Jay, that worship the ground he walks on.
Mate, other than Messi and Ronaldo, he's the best.
He's the best player in that generation.
Unbelievable footballer, but I think he gets a little bit over.
And if he wasn't stupid, if he was going to step out of Messi's shadow to go to, he shouldn't have gone PSG. And if he did go somewhere else, I think he would have potentially won a Ballon d'Or.
Yeah, and actually
and if he doesn't have March off for his sister's birthday every year, he probably would have done better as well.
He's just a pure footballer, isn't he? I think this is where I think a bit of the discourse is around him, is that people look at him and they look at the tricks and the flicks and they don't like it, like especially the older generation and
miserable bastards is what they are.
The people who can't enjoy life, you mean?
Yeah, the people that don't like colour in their life or season their food. Like I'm just not having it. If you don't like someone rainbow
broccoli and rice and chicken for their whole life,
boiled vegetables, not about it.
I think obviously he was an elite talent. I just think there are certain Neymar fans, Jay, that just go a little bit above and beyond what he actually was.
Mate,
no, you're actually
other than Suarez, I don't think he's the closest.
I literally just called him elite.
Yeah, but
then you called him overhyped in the same sentence.
No, he gets overhyped by like the Neymar fanboys, the same as like a Ronaldo fanboy would or a Messi fanboy would, whatever. But Neymar's just not on that.
Probably say that about everyone.
Everybody's
fanboys are going to overhype them.
People who say he was close to Neymar to Messi and Ronaldo's level is just not true. Nobody's close to that level.
He's the third best player in that generation.
Yeah, but he's still nowhere near the other two.
Yeah, but that's fair enough. But like, that's not exactly a bad thing.
See, and this is my point. Jay now saying that's not true that he's nowhere near the other two. He's not anywhere near the other two. He's still an elite talent. You got to be able to differentiate the two things. I'm not saying he's not good or anything.
590 goals and assists in 600 games. Mental. That is mental. Yeah. Like that is genuinely insane. Yeah. Neymar is a madness. And anyway, Javi Simmons
got 80 goal contributions in the Champions League out of 81 games.
He's also Brazil's all-time top scorer as well, I believe. So it's just
he's ridiculous. And fuck Barcelona for stealing him off him as well.
Yeah. So we can agree that Luke loves Neymar. We love Neymar. We hope Javi Simmons arrives. He almost certainly won't. We'll end up with Kudus. But fine, guys. Are we missing anything? Anything you want to touch on before we go? We said we'd do 30 minutes. We've done an hour.
I just hope that they get Magnon, Ekitike, and Gissins over the line before the Club World Cup, because you can start planning that as like a mini pre-season / let's go far in the Club World Cup.
Yeah, agreed.
Because we're already in a really good financial position because of Champions League, better sponsorship next season and stuff like that. If we can go to quarters, semi-final, fuck it, even go to the final and win it, then you've got to be trying to do that. And if you slightly overpay, then slightly overpay. Fuck it.
Yeah, I agree. Luke, anything to add before we go?
No, all good this sem, mate.
Beautiful. Right, guys. Well, listen, we'll be back next week. Might be Sinai next Thursday. I don't know. Probably. Let's hope so. If it's Friday, it'll be some of us three. If it's Thursday, it'll be Sinai. We'll talk all things Chelsea then. No football going on, so nothing can potentially ruin our weekends. Just before we go, Luke, you doing anything nice this weekend?
Actually, I don't actually know, mate. I've not really thought about the weekend. I've not got that far yet.
Not been told yet what you're doing. Great stuff.
No.
Danny?
Celebrating my best friends buying a house, and they're also following us and living 3 minutes around the corner, which is also good.
Oh, that's great. Well, that's a nice way to end the show. Let's wrap it there and not ruin it by discussing or arguing about any other football player. Guys, listen, we'll be back next week. Thank you so much for listening. As we said at the top of the show, check out Luke's piece. It's really good. We'll be back next week. See you later.